Storytime Audio presents The Turning Point, a journey from distance to new beginnings. This story delves into the lives of a couple celebrating their 20th wedding anniversary, only to find themselves drifting apart. As they confront midlife crises, evolving priorities, and the quest for true happiness, their journey highlights the resilience of the human spirit and the potential for new beginnings. Join us as we explore this touching narrative of love, change, and rediscovery. A year ago, our children threw us a party in honor of our 20th wedding anniversary. It was a grand event with all the trappings, balloons, streamers, and a fancy cake. All our friends were invited, and we received a bunch of gag gifts. Life seemed pretty good at that moment, even though I knew we were slowly growing apart while living in the same house. My wife, Anna, and I met in our final year of university, and it had been history ever since. We fell in love, got married, and had two wonderful sons, both of whom are now graduating from college. We were almost empty nesters and should have been enjoying the fruits of our labors, but we had a little problem. I was younger, but she was not. I didn't get physically younger, rather, I had a midlife crisis when I turned 50 this year. Don't let anyone tell you that 50 is just a number and you shouldn't worry about it, because that's nonsense. I began to look back and say to myself, what if? And was determined never to say those words again. The pressure of caring for children was relieved and, for the first time, we had a lot of free time and money. It was like a huge weight had been lifted from my chest, and I felt more alive than I had in a long time. I received 4 weeks of vacation time from work each year and accumulated another 4 weeks of unused sick and vacation time over the years. What the hell was I going to do with 8 weeks off? I started making changes, small ones at first. I stopped dressing like my father. My suits and my entire wardrobe were outdated, to say the least, and needed to be updated for the 21st century. Plus, I had somehow gained some fat around my waist over the last 10 years and had to get rid of it before I went crazy. I bought myself new clothes. When I told Anna I wanted more salads and less meat, she didn't say anything, but when I started getting up early to go to the gym before work, she noticed. She probably thought it was just a phase like my New Year's resolutions that eventually passed, but it didn't. It took me 3.5 months of hard work to lose the 18 pounds I had gained. It gave me more energy, and I tried to use it to improve our sex life, but that was a mistake. It seemed like our sex life was fading over time. It went from very hot to good and finally to normal, when I got it at all, which was once every 9 days. I had always been pushing for more sex, but now I took it to the next level, and it was not welcomed by my wife, who was quite comfortable with the way things were. John, I'm not 20 years old anymore. I can't do this 5 times a week, she told me very firmly. You don't take Viagra, do you? What if we agree on 3? I asked, or rather begged. Anna said she would think about it but didn't guarantee anything. As usual, nothing changed. You see, we were stuck in a rut. We both got up for work in the morning at about 6 a.m., 5 minutes apart. We drank coffee for breakfast together while I looked through the newspaper. We both commuted to work, which started at 8 a.m., and I left between 5 o'clock and 5:30 p.m. for a 25-minute drive home. When I got home, I checked my mail, changed my clothes, and usually set the table. Anna arrived at 6 p.m., and by the time I arrived, she was already cooking something. We had dinner, washed the dishes, and then read the newspaper. At this point, we split up and went about our business for the next 2 hours before getting ready for bed. I would lay out my clothes for the next day, brush my teeth, floss, and then sit in bed to watch the news. If I managed to set Anna up, we would have vanilla sex and fall asleep within 40 minutes. The next day, we did the same boring things over and over again. We were becoming like our parents, and I wasn't going to let that happen without a fight. I relaxed my requests for more sex a little and started working on my foreplay techniques. A bottle of her favorite wine, flowers occasionally, a foot massage, and other little things went a long way. It lifted her spirits but didn't bring us closer. When we didn't make love for the first week, I didn't say anything. When this went on for 2 weeks, I started dropping hints. Damn, when this went on for 3 weeks, I finally said something. Anna, don't you like making love to me anymore? I said this as tactfully as possible. John, what kind of question is that? Of course, I like it. Then why don't we do this more often? John, we do this all the time. Honey, it's been 3 weeks. I haven't bothered you, but I wanted to wait and see how long you wouldn't notice, but it seems like you didn't notice. So, do you want to do it tonight? If so, we better get started because it's getting late. Anna, I don't see this as some kind of duty that needs to be done and forgotten. I think of it as something special that brings us closer together. I tried to explain to her, but she didn't listen. John, do you want to do this or not? She finally asked, annoyed that I criticized her for not wanting to have sex anymore. It looks like no. I'm not in the mood anymore, I told her sharply and briefly. Let's get to work on this. Otherwise, you won't let me forget it, she said in the same annoying whine that I'd been hearing more and more often lately. I'll refuse, I said, getting up and going to the bathroom. I took 3 Advil for the headache I now had, went back to bed, and said good night to her with my back turned to her. Don't say I didn't offer, Anna said with a disdainful tone in her voice as she opened the book. I stopped asking after that night. I moved my workouts from morning to evening, which meant we no longer had dinner together. I liked it better because it gave me a chance to relax after work and there were more people in the gym to socialize with. Anna started leaving me a plate of leftovers in the oven, but after 2 months, that stopped and I started making my own dinner or stopping after a workout for a snack. We were growing more and more distant from each other, and if I saw it, then she must have seen it too. It had been almost 4 months since our last lovemaking session, and I was determined to get her to initiate it, even if it took forever. My evening showers were getting longer and longer. I started replacing or updating my clothes piece by piece, and even a few women at work noticed, but my wife didn't say a word. Are you going to stop being so depressed this year, or should I book you for next January? Anna said as I turned off the light that night. What? You heard me. You're playing a stupid game, and I'm tired of it, she said with the tension in her voice that I was already used to. Could you explain what game you're talking about? John, don't make a fool of yourself. Just because I don't give you sex 24 hours a day, you're sulking, but it won't work, she now screamed at me. Anna, you asked me not to pester you about sex anymore. I'm just doing what you asked. You said you weren't 20 anymore and weren't interested in it, so I was just waiting for you to be in the mood. Don't tell me that crap. You're punishing me for not lying spread-eagled on the bed every night, but that won't work. I can take as much as you, she said smugly. Listen to yourself, Anna. I'll show John the first won't have sex with him. Do you hear what you're saying? I asked her. You started this, not me. No, Anna. It's not me. I wanted to make love to my wife, and you saw it as just another chore to do before bed. I decided to wait until you wanted to do it rather than have to, like you did colorfully express. Instead, you took it as a challenge to see how long I could last. It's quite pathetic. Looks like I was right a few months ago. You don't really enjoy it with me anymore, do you? She just looked at me angrily and left the bedroom, slamming the door. I think this answered my question. Life became even more stressful after that night. Anna now slept in the guest room and tried to avoid me in the evenings. When I told her my company's corporate dinner was in 2 weeks, she simply shrugged. Saturday night before the dinner, I had just showered and wondered why I couldn't hear Anna getting ready. After I finished getting dressed, I went to look for her. Why aren't you ready yet? We have to leave in half an hour, I said to my wife, who was still dressed in shorts and a casual blouse. I'm not going, she said. How is it that you're not coming? I asked in an unfriendly tone. When you start treating me like a wife, I'll start acting like a wife. Until then, you're alone, she replied, crossing her arms over her chest. Come on, Anna, stop talking nonsense and get dressed. I said I wouldn't go, she repeated firmly. Okay, keep playing your damn game, I said as I started to leave and grabbed my keys. I was angry, irritated, and filled with a bunch of other feelings. It was my company's annual dinner, and it was the first time I had to go alone, and I didn't like it. I told everyone that Anna wasn't feeling well and decided to have a good time anyway. I didn't even notice how many single women worked in my company. I guess when you're married, you don't pay attention to it, but that evening, I noticed it. I danced with each of them at least once. I'm not the best dancer, but I had no complaints. It looks like I drank a little more than I should have and needed help getting home. Emily from customer service lived next door to me and said she would make sure to get me there safe and sound. I ended the night with 2 more dances and 1 drink. Walking out into the parking lot, my eyes became the size of saucers when I saw what Emily was driving, a black 2005 Mustang Cobra. Oh my God, Emily, is this your car? This was my husband's toy before he died a year ago. He died of cancer. Can you handle such a machine? Have a seat, handsome, and I'll show you what's under the hood. Holy. Oh my God. And oh my God, were just 3 phrases I used as we took the scenic route to my house. Emily changed gears like a racer and pinned me to the seat more than once. When she finally stopped bragging, we slowed down to the speed limit. I left her motionless for 6 months before I got up the courage to take her out. She told me, I haven't driven a manual car in years and had to learn quickly. It has a lot of horsepower, but you get used to it. For me, it's a fun car for the weekend to get rid of the stress of the week. If only you weren't so drunk, I'd let you ride, she said, smiling at me. A drive that should have taken 20 minutes took an hour and a half because we stopped for coffee at Denny's. She told me about her husband, and I guess I felt obligated to tell her about Anna. You two should stop playing these games. Life is too short to miss a day. Trust me, I know. I agreed but told her that it takes 2 to tango. She sped down my street because there were no other cars on the road at 2 o'clock in the morning. She kissed me on the cheek and asked if I needed help getting inside. No problem getting in. My problems will start as soon as I get in, I told her with a smirk. She once again told me to get my head out of my ass and that she would see me at work on Monday. As I approached the house, I saw Anna look out the window for a second. It looked like she was waiting for me after all. Do you have any idea what time it is? Anna asked angrily. I have no idea. Who gave you a lift? This is Emily. She works with me, I replied. I saw her kiss you. What was that for? For nothing, I guess. I just danced with her tonight because my wife didn't bother to come with me, I said, looking at her. So if you'll excuse me, I'm tired and I've had too much to drink. If you want to discuss Emily and all the other girls I danced with tonight, I'll be more than happy to discuss it, but not now. Tomorrow after breakfast. I slept like a baby. The next month, I tried to bury the hatchet. I didn't ask for sex, but I moved my training back to the morning so we could have dinner together again. I was getting sick of all this nonsense, but I decided to give it a couple more weeks before bringing it up again. That's when Anna did something stupid. I was going through my mail on Thursday when I found a receipt for a cruise ticket for the next week. What is it? I asked, holding it in my hands. I was going to tell you this tonight. My sister and I are going on a 7-day Caribbean cruise. It starts this Sunday and runs until next Saturday. I just need some time to think about my life. And you can't do it here with me, but you can with your sister? John, I just need some time away. It's not a big deal, she tried to downplay it. Anna, this is a big problem. If we get any further apart, there's a good chance we'll never get back together. Is that what you want? John, I don't know what I want anymore, she said, looking at me. Well, now I know the answer, I said, crumpling the ticket and throwing it at her. I think I heard her shout something after me, but I was already at the door before I heard it. I think I finally reached my limit. I went out to dinner alone and went to 2 strip clubs. These were the first breasts I had seen in 5 months, and they looked attractive to me. I spent $30 on tips and bought 2 girls drinks before finally leaving a little after 1 o'clock in the morning. As I drove home, I thought about all the places I wanted to visit but never had the chance. One that stood out was the California wineries. I love wine and could never convince Anna to go there. She thought it would be boring as hell. I figured if she can go on vacation with her sister, then so can I. Anna was sleeping when I came home. She left me a note saying I was stubborn for leaving without giving her a chance to explain herself. Am I a fool? I said to myself, crumpling up the note and throwing it across the kitchen. I blurted out as I went upstairs and gathered enough clothes to leave before she left. The Holiday Inn across from work was my logical choice. Since I only slept 3 hours Thursday night, I told my secretary that under no circumstances should she place any calls from my wife, Anna. I turned off my cell phone and decided to hide for the next 72 hours. However, I checked out the winery tours. A 10-day tour including airfare, food, and transportation would cost me just over $2,500. I booked it for Saturday when Anna was due back. I turned on my cell phone just once and found 8 calls from Anna asking where the hell I was and why I wasn't answering my calls. However, I asked Emily what she was doing this Saturday afternoon. If you're not busy, I'd like to take you up on your offer for a ride. You think you're man enough to handle this? She said with a smile. I think we'll both figure it out, I said, smiling back. How about 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon? I got the address from her and said I'd see her then. This will settle the matter for Saturday, and Anna will be leaving on Sunday, I thought to myself. On Friday, I stayed at work a little longer than usual and completed all my tasks. I applied for leave and said I wanted my leave check next Friday. I was really looking forward to it. It's just a shame Anna won't be going with me. I slept until late Saturday morning and had a good breakfast in the hotel dining room. It was a beautiful day, and I made sure to dress appropriately in casual pants and sneakers. When I arrived, Emily had just finished washing the windshield. When she saw me, she smiled. Just making sure you'd see clearly. You know, that's one of the first things that gets worse when you hit 50, she said, laughing. I think it's number 3, but damn it, I don't remember numbers 1 and 2. Her car drove like a dream, a little stiff due to the racing suspension but still great. After some time, I could change gears without thinking about what I was doing and even tried to accelerate sharply to 95 miles per hour before realizing that I was approaching that speed. I need to buy something more exciting than my current Volvo. It's too much for me, but maybe a Corvette could do, I told her as we slowed to a sedate ride. Something I could drive to work every day and it wouldn't bankrupt me. It was after 4 o'clock when we stopped for gas on the way back to her house. Emily, do you have plans for dinner? I feel like I owe you more than a tank of gas for your troubles. Don't you have plans with your wife this evening? She looked me up and down. Not today. How about it? If you say so, it's agreed. I need to take a shower, so pick me up around 6 o'clock if that's convenient for you. 6 is great, but dress casually. I know a good Italian place with great food and a great wine list. I had 5 more calls from Anna. I listened to each one as they became increasingly angry. Quote, "Damn it, John, call me. I'm leaving tomorrow and we need to talk before then," was the last message. I erased it along with everyone else. The food was excellent, and we shared a bottle of wine during our meal. I didn't bring up Anna, but Emily did. How are things going with you and your wife? She asked, sipping wine. No way. She's leaving on a 7-day Caribbean cruise with her sister tomorrow, I told her. I thought you were going to work on your problems. I tried, but she didn't want to talk to me. When I found out about the cruise, I just left. It was pretty stupid, Emily said without mincing words. She said she needed time away from me to think about us and where we were going. How can we work on our relationship if we don't discuss our problems? Anyway, she's leaving tomorrow for the Caribbean, and I'm leaving on a 10-day winery tour next Saturday. You're both playing catch-up, and you're both going to lose. Look, if it's over, so be it. Stop these stupid games. But if there's even the slightest chance, you should take it instead of going on separate vacations. She criticized what we were doing. Emily, we haven't slept in the same bed in over 6 months. I think my marriage is on the brink of death, and with her leaving, she's basically pulled the plug. When I get back, we'll split everything equally and go our separate ways. I still have enough years to start over before I'm 95 and in a wheelchair. I still think you're both making a mistake, but it's your life. I took her home a little after 10 o'clock. She invited me in, saying she was alone because her only daughter was away at college, but I refused, knowing that if I had one more drink, I wouldn't be able to drive the car. She looked too good, and I didn't want to put myself in an awkward situation. The week dragged on as I waited for my trip. I sorted out my clothes and even bought 3 more sets because I lost another 5 pounds. I figured I could fit everything into 2 medium suitcases, which was the maximum the airline would allow without extra charge. Anna sent me 2 emails telling me that when she got back, we needed to talk. This could be a problem since I wasn't even going to be here. I thought about not leaving any note but decided against it. I decided to take a little vacation myself. See you in 2 weeks, was all I wrote. At least she'll know I'm not lying dead in some ditch. Why I didn't do this before is a mystery to me because 2 days later, I was hooked. Every other day, we went to different wineries, did excursions during the day, and wine tastings in the evening. I was with a group of 4 couples, a mother and daughter, and 1 single woman besides myself. We ate together, went on excursions, and generally spent time together. On the 4th day, the only other single member of our group approached me. Steve, right? She asked. Yes, it's me. And your name is Lori, right? I answered with a smile. Since we're both here alone, would you like to join me on an optional excursion to the old Spanish missions tomorrow? She suggested. They need at least 2 people, and you're the only one I know here. Sounds great. I'm glad I brought a good camera. They said it would take about 4 hours, including travel time and the tour itself. They will send a car for us right after our tour of the winery tomorrow. Lori organized everything. We sat together at dinner that evening. Lori was divorced and said she decided to do something new every year. She took up diving last year after receiving her certification and planned to go on a cruise to Alaska next year. After this, who knows? I see you are married. Why isn't your wife with you? She asked. She's on a 7-day Caribbean cruise. You don't like cruises? They weren't invited. She decided to take her sister with her, I said quietly, sipping a glass of wine. Sorry, I didn't mean to pry. It's okay. I wouldn't have gone anyway. She doesn't seem to value my company anymore. Well, her loss. So, as of this evening, you're officially my date for the rest of this tour. That way, you'll always have someone to eat and talk to. Lori, we all eat together and always talk to each other, I said, looking at her with confusion. I know. It's just official now, she said, smiling and taking my hand. The tour was great, and I enjoyed Lori's company more and more. She said her ex-husband replaced her with a younger model. I made him pay dearly for this act. Not only did I get half of our assets but also monthly alimony which pays for all my little adventures. It's a pity that I didn't catch him sooner. I would have loved to try mountaineering, but at 45, I'm not going to take any risks. I've always wanted to go on a wind-powered cruise where there are few amenities, and you spend your time sailing from island to island. I would have done it already if it weren't for the fact that my ex-husband is a sailor and I paid for my son's college education before this year, she told me. Don't wait until you're too old to enjoy it, she warned me. We talked until almost midnight. Everyone else had already gone to bed when I walked her to her cabin. She kissed me on the cheek and told me that she had a wonderful time and that I was the best companion. I bet you say that to every married man you date, I told her. Actually, no, because you're the first. If I didn't know your past, we wouldn't even have gone out tonight. I'm not a homewrecker. I've been in this situation, so you're lucky. Sleep well. We have a big day tomorrow, she said, hugging me and giving me another kiss. I returned to my room, excited and dealt with it on my own before I went to bed. I turned on my cell phone and, lo and behold, I had 9 messages from Anna. The first ones were quite sharp and short, but the last 3 sounded much more sincere. John, please call. I don't know where you are, and I need to talk to you, she begged. Now she wanted to talk after basically telling me to go to hell for the last 4 months. I erased them again and turned off the phone. 2 days into our trip, we stopped at the most beautiful winery we could imagine. It was built on top of a hill overlooking a lush valley. The evening we did the wine tasting, the sun was setting, and it was almost breathtaking. I took a few pictures, even photographing Lori against the sunset. I was having the time of my life. The rooms at the wineries were simply small cubicles with minimal amenities. They had a shower, a bedroom, and a small living room. One by one, the couples retreated to their booths until only Lori and I remained. This is life. I could get used to doing this full-time, traveling to all the wineries here in California and maybe then expanding to Italy and then Germany, I said, dreaming out loud. And in 2 years, they'll have to take you on a forklift after you gain a couple of 100 pounds, she laughed. Between the wine, the cheese, and the rich food we eat all the time, I think I've gained 5 pounds, she said, stroking her belly. You're not fat. You look good, I replied. Flattery will get you everywhere, she said, finishing her glass of wine. Let's go for a walk, she suggested, taking the last bottle of wine. The path was lit with torches as we slowly walked around the winery itself. I wasn't drunk, but I wasn't completely sober either. When she stopped and pulled my lips to hers, I did not resist or pull away but responded to the kiss. She dropped the bottle of wine as we both hugged each other and exchanged passionate kisses. I woke up next to her in bed. I still had my pants on, and she was wearing a tank top. We fell asleep together after returning to her cabin but agreed that sex would not happen that night. I watched her sleep and studied her face and everything that was uncovered. How long have you been awake? She asked. About an hour. It felt like someone was looking at me, she said with a smile, pulling me to her lips. My breath must have smelled bad enough to kill a fly, but she didn't seem to care. We better get up. The bus will pick us up at 9 o'clock, she said, jumping out of bed, throwing off her t-shirt, and heading to the shower. Are you coming with me? It was the most stressful shower of my life. We continued to wash each other, avoiding all the unnecessary movements that we both wanted to do. Well, at least I wanted to. At least I got a good look at Lori, and I damned liked what I saw. If I weren't married, I would have had sex with her right then and there. We dressed slowly as neither of us could take our eyes off each other. I returned to my cabin, collected my luggage, and threw it down onto the bus, then went in to look for Lori. The hour-long drive flew by in a flash as we chatted about all sorts of things. This was our last winery, and I wasn't happy about it at all. We still had a day and a half left and decided to make the most of it. Like all the other wineries, I bought a case of the wine I liked and sent it all home. I made a note to buy a wine cooler as soon as I got home. We walked hand in hand on our last night for dinner as we were all sad that our trip was coming to an end. That last night, we made a total of 6 toasts before we each went to bed in turn. I walked Lori back to her cabin and told her I had to pack my things that night. We kissed. "I'll miss you," we both said at the same time and laughed out loud. Another kiss and hug, and she went inside. It took me about 20 minutes to pack all my things. I found my airline tickets and parking pass, making sure I knew where everything was. I had washed myself and had just crawled under the covers when I heard a knock on the door. I looked out the window and opened the door. "I couldn't sleep," was all she said as she entered my room and closed the door behind her. Lori took my hand and led me to my bed. "I can't do what you want," I told her. "I know, but at least I can enjoy your warmth for one more night." I pressed the spoon against her, and so we spent the whole night hugging. With a kiss on the cheek, she left at 7 o'clock in the morning. At 9:30, we were already sitting on the bus on the way to the airport. "John, here's my email and cell number. No matter what happens, let's stay in touch," she said, touching my face. At the airport, Lori headed to Southwest Airlines, and I headed to Delta. I waved goodbye to her as we both headed back to reality. I had a lot to think about on the flight home. I expected to be back by noon and be home no later than 3 p.m. That gave me about an hour and a half before Anna got home from work. After I picked up my bags and picked up the car, I headed home. I called my secretary, Jill, to see if there was anything urgent waiting for me at work tomorrow. "John, everything went pretty smoothly since you did 90% of what you needed to do before you left. I just sat around painting my nails all week," she said, laughing. "However, Emily wanted to talk to you. If you'll allow me, let me put you on her phone." "Customer support, Emily is here. How can I help you?" she answered on her phone. "You can give me another ride in your car," I said in my normal voice. "John, why didn't you tell me you were going to California on wine tours? I would have gone with you. Emily, you know the place would have fallen apart if we weren't both here when we did," I said, trying to sound serious. "And besides, you'd probably want to play nurse for me, and I wouldn't have any fun." "You better not be having fun, if you know what I mean," she said, now a little angrily. "Don't worry. I was a good boy. Why did you want to talk to me? I had a surprise visit Tuesday morning when I got to work, from your wife. She wanted to know where the hell you were. When I said I didn't know, she asked me point blank if I'd slept with you. Can you imagine?" she asked. "I hope you told her yes," I joked. "Are you crazy? You didn't see the way she looked at me. She was furious. I, however, asked her how she liked the cruise, and she wanted to know how I knew that. I said you and I were discussing some things on a friendship level and that I knew you had problems with her, John. We had a good conversation for about 45 minutes, and I told her like you that you were playing with fire since she left. She's at least calmed down. She thinks you won't be coming home until Friday. Where did she get that information from? I have no idea. Just be careful. I think you're going to hell." I thanked her and told her I was sorry for all the trouble I had caused her and that I would see her in the morning if I was still alive. 10 minutes later, I pulled into my garage and was completely unpacked within half an hour. The house looked the same. At least she didn't destroy it while I was gone. I had just finished my second beer and was going through my email when I heard the garage door open. Damn, I was hoping for at least another half hour before she arrived. Anna burst into the kitchen. "Where the hell have you been? Why didn't you tell me you were leaving? Where have you been?" These were the only 3 questions that I remember while she continued talking non-stop for about 5 minutes. The wine valleys of California. "And since you decided to take a vacation, I took one too." "John, at least I told you where I was going," she shot back. "Anna, if something were to happen, how could I reach you? If I needed to talk to you while you were on board, could I reach you on your cell phone?" I asked. You know our plan doesn't include the Caribbean. That's why I turned off my phone when I left. What was it like being left in the dark? I asked, looking at the nervous Anna. Well, at least you're home now and we can talk and stop all these stupid games. Are you hungry? Do you want to go eat or order something home? How was your cruise? Did you have fun? I asked, trying to put her in an awkward position. I know your sister was probably busy every night, but what about you? John, that's one hell of a question to ask your wife. Do you think I went on the cruise to cheat on you? I have no idea why you went on the cruise since you didn't want to talk to me about it. Hell, in theory, you could have fun every night. If you're going to keep that tone, I don't think I'll talk to you tonight. What other news? I said, still looking at her. To answer your question, no, I didn't cheat on you. Maybe I should ask you about these things, she replied. There aren't many island guys in California. I tried to soften the situation. And no, I didn't sleep with anyone. I'd love to say I slept with someone without actually having sex with her, but I don't think Anna would like that. Let's better order pizza, open a bottle of wine, and talk. I agree. Order it while I change, she said, going upstairs. I wondered if she had moved back into our bedroom while I was gone. I'd probably find out later. We talked about nonsense for the first hour. Those little things that people bring up when they are afraid to broach serious topics. I waited another 20 minutes before I started asking difficult questions. Did you figure out anything during the cruise with that airhead sister of yours? I asked, my tone sharper than I intended. John, I wish you wouldn't call her that. Yes, she's been married a couple of times, but she just hasn't met the right one yet, Anna replied defensively. Anna, she had 2 husbands who loved her, and she cheated on both of them. And this is the woman you went with to decide if you want to stay married to me? Should I start packing now, or have you already packed everything while I was away? I said, trying to joke, but the tension was clear. Very funny. You know I didn't do anything like that. But I had to admit, I was pretty mad when I came back and you weren't there. That was one of the reasons I left when I did. I thought it would give you a little more time to think without knowing exactly where I was. I guess it was pretty cruel, but you deserved it after you announced the cruise, she said. Anna, if I had told you about the cruise earlier, all we would have done was argue, I replied. And we didn't argue after I found out? It was only 2 days, and damn, you left before I could explain my reasons for wanting to go, she said. Well, has any important revelation occurred to you? I asked. Only that I still love you and want to stay married to you, she said softly. Well, I won't if this continues like it has for the last 2 years, I told a surprised Anna. I really think she expected me to cry and run into her arms, but those days were long gone. I want a wife, not a roommate. I can always hire a cook or a maid to do what you do, but it's much harder to hire a wife. That's what I want, and I won't settle for anything less. John, I've been a good wife to you for 25 years. Now suddenly you start demanding that I change, or what? Are you going to throw me away like a used rag? Do you see how wrong that is? Listen, Anna, I'm making no demands on you other than I don't want to be celibate anymore. If you're no longer interested in making love to me, I'll find someone who will be interested. I'm not going to give it up at any time, 50 years or not, I said, perhaps too loudly, trying to get my point across. We already discussed this. I can't do this 24 hours a day, she said. I don't even want to, Anna. I asked 3 times a week, and you said you'd think about it, but apparently, you thought I was kidding. Don't you miss the closeness we had, touching, hugging, curling up cozy in bed before sleep? I really miss it, and I want it back. But you started playing these stupid games, she objected. Anna, we both started playing games that only drove us apart to the point where I don't even know how to start getting closer again, I said sadly. Let's start from the beginning, she said, standing up and taking my hand. We kissed for 2 full hours straight. Our clothes somehow dissolved during this period until we became familiar with each other's bodies again. Breakfast was quick. I had to get back to work with only 2 hours of sleep. I looked a little tired. Looks like you need a vacation to unwind after your vacation, my secretary Jill joked. She asked if I needed a cup of coffee. There were a few things that required my immediate attention, but by midday, everything was back to normal. I see you're still alive, Emily said, walking past my office a little before 4 o'clock. Did you talk or just exchange insults last night? Both, I said with a weak smile. I guess we can't solve everything in one night. At least you guys started talking again, she said as she passed by. We talked, made love, and talked again over the next month. We solved some of our problems but ultimately realized we couldn't handle them all alone. Anna got the name David from a friend who used his services many years ago and said he was quite good. On Tuesday at 3 o'clock, we found ourselves in his office. "What can I do for you too?" This was the first question from his lips. We both talked for almost half an hour about how we grew apart and what problems we had, including sexual ones. "Look, I can't solve your problems overnight, but if you're ready, we can work on the issues that are tearing you apart and see where it takes us." We both agreed and began the long road to recovery. We met twice a week. Mostly we were together in sessions, but sometimes he wanted to see us separately to work on our individual problems. He didn't go around sharp corners. He told me that what I did in California was betrayal and that what Anna did on the cruise was also crossing the line. It turns out that my wife also found someone she liked on the cruise and, as she put it, went as far as second base with him more than once. She got a little annoyed when I said that I hadn't heard that expression since high school, but at least we tried. When he asked us where we saw ourselves in a year and in 5 years, we both had no idea, but it got us thinking. When he asked us how much sex is too little and how much is too much, we were still on opposite ends of the spectrum. Once a week was too little for me, and 3 times a week was too much for Anna, but we kept fighting. It took almost 5 months for us to achieve our first real breakthrough and another month to iron out the last 2 problems. David was happy with our results, and for the first time in a long time, Anna and I were happy too. "John, when I received your letter about wanting to go on this cruise, I was thrilled," Lori told me, standing on the deck and looking out at the water. "But when you said you were bringing your wife, it dampened my enthusiasm a little," she added, holding my hand. I told her I wanted to go alone, but she said no way. After I had to tell her about our last trip together, I replied with a smile. She said, "You won't share the bed with me this time." "Well, if she accidentally falls overboard, I say in advance that it's not my fault," she said, kissing me on the cheek. "John, I can't leave you unattended for a minute," I heard Anna say from behind me as she walked up to me and kissed me on the lips. "And this must be Lori," she said, holding out her hand. "I've heard a lot about you, and you're just as charming as John said," she said, now looking me over. "You know what a flatterer he is," Lori replied. "Not really, but he starts to learn if he knows what's best for him," she said with a smile. "Well, shall we go out to dinner? I'm so glad you were moved to our table because I still have a couple of questions about the winery tour that I need to discuss," she said as the two of them laughed, looking at me when I blushed. I was dead meat, and I knew it. Our table in the dining room seated 10 people, and by the time the waiter brought our drinks, everyone was already seated. There were 4 couples, including us, and one good-looking young guy who sat next to Lori. I nudged her with my elbow and pointed my thumb up, to which she hit me in the arm. Introductions were the order of the day as each couple told everyone their names and where they were from. I imagined us as John and Emily Moore from the sunny state of Florida as I looked at Lori, who was next in line. "That's right, my wife is Emily, not Anna. You see, we finally solved our problems with David's help, just not in the way we both planned. It turned out that we were both on different pages in our lives. Anna had reached a point where she wanted to relax and let life take its course as long as it didn't interfere with her peaceful lifestyle. She began to enjoy her freedom and didn't want anyone to dictate what she should or shouldn't do, including me. She was more than happy with sex every now and then to relieve the tension, but it was overkill when she wasn't really in the mood to even please me. We discussed where we wanted to be in 1 and 5 years and discovered that we weren't even on the same planet. We decided to separate, and now we get along better than when we were together. Anna and I sold our house and divided everything equally. We used the same lawyer, and within 3 months, everything was completed, and we were both much happier. She wanted to do it again for old time's sake, but I told her that while I would love to do it, I was in a relationship and couldn't cheat on Emily any more than I could cheat on her. You see, a week after our last session, I arrived at Emily's doorstep. We talked and had dinner, but she told me that she would never date anyone from work. I solved this problem by taking days off from my 8 weeks of vacation, cashing out from my 401k, and investing in a thriving travel agency. We started dating the next day. I rented an apartment not far from work with the option of renting on a monthly basis, but after 3 months, I moved in with Emily. She dated 2 men after her husband's death, but neither of them lived up to her expectations. Looks like her husband was more than just good in bed. After our third date and with her driving her car, we stopped at her house. John, I'm not Anna, and I never will be. I don't like games, and if you have a problem with me, I expect you to tell me so we can figure it out. You and your wife ruined your marriage, and if we are going to move forward, I will not tolerate what you did. I expect honesty, loyalty, and for you to put my needs first, and I will do the same for you. If you can't handle it, there is no point in wasting our time on something that has no chance of success. Okay? Emily, tell me how you really feel. Don't beat around the bush, tell me straight. I can handle it, I said with a stupid smile on my face as I grabbed and kissed her. That night, we made love, or rather, Emily made it in such a way that I was amazed, and then I loved her. That was nice, I said, stroking her arm as we lay next to each other. Nice, nice, she repeated, didn't I rock your world? I thought you'd say it was bloody wonderful, the best thing ever, she said, now leaning on her elbow looking at me. Baby, it doesn't matter if you make my eyes bug out of my head or if we make tender love and then cuddle for the rest of the night. What matters is that we're together, I told her. We spent the rest of the weekend in and out of bed. After 2 months, she wanted to make sure we were exclusive. 3 months later, I moved in with her, and 6 months later, we got married in a small ceremony with just friends and family. Her daughter was her maid of honor, and I had the 2 best people, my sons. In passing, she asked if I wanted to invite my ex, but I told her that it was our day, and although we were on good terms, Anna was my past and she was my future. All she said was, good answer. Since we never got around to taking a formal vacation, I organized a cruise for just the 2 of us. I emailed Lori and asked if she was interested, and she immediately replied yes. When I finally told Lori I was bringing my wife, my new wife, although she was more than a little disappointed, she still wanted to meet us. I just need to meet the woman who grabbed you so quickly after you became available. We had a great time. Lori never contacted the young guy at our table, but she did mention someone in Denver who was more than interested in her. He's sweet and all, but he wants to make an honest woman out of me, and I'm not sure I'm ready for that yet. Let me give you some friendly advice, Emily said, leaning over and whispering to Lori. If it's worth it, grab it ASAP. If not, it might not be available when you're ready, she said with a big smile. We walked back to our cabin hand in hand. Lori's words resonated in my mind, reminding me of how lucky I was to have found Emily. Our cabin on the cruise was cozy and well appointed, with a large window offering a breathtaking view of the ocean. Emily and I spent our days exploring the ship, enjoying the amenities, and participating in various activities. In the evenings, we dined at different restaurants, savoring exquisite meals and sharing bottles of fine wine. It felt like a second honeymoon, a chance to strengthen our bond and create new memories together. One evening, as we were walking back to our cabin after a particularly romantic dinner, Emily turned to me with a thoughtful expression. John, I've been thinking about what Lori said. About not waiting too long to grab something good when you find it, she said softly. I nodded, understanding the weight of her words. I know, and I'm grateful every day that I didn't let you slip away. Emily smiled, squeezing my hand. You know, I never imagined finding love again after losing my husband. But you changed that for me. You've changed my life too, Emily. More than you can imagine. We stopped walking and embraced, standing there under the stars with the gentle rocking of the ship beneath us. In that moment, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought us together. The next day, we docked at one of the cruise's port stops, a beautiful island with pristine beaches and vibrant local culture. Emily and I decided to explore the island, taking a guided tour that led us through lush landscapes, historical sites, and bustling markets. As we wandered through the colorful streets, we stumbled upon a small jewelry shop. Intrigued, we stepped inside to browse. Emily's eyes were drawn to a delicate necklace with a small, intricately designed pendant. I noticed her admiration and decided to make a spontaneous decision. How about we get this as a keepsake from our trip? I suggested. Emily beamed. I love it. It will always remind me of this wonderful time we've had together. We purchased the necklace and continued our exploration of the island, feeling more connected with each passing moment. That evening, back on the ship, Emily wore the necklace to dinner. It sparkled in the candlelight, a symbol of our new beginnings. As the cruise came to an end, we felt a mix of sadness and excitement. We had grown even closer during our time on the ship, and the thought of returning to our everyday lives seemed both daunting and exhilarating. On the final night, we attended a farewell party on the deck. The atmosphere was lively, with music, dancing, and laughter filling the air. Lori joined us for a while, and we shared stories and memories of the trip. She was genuinely happy for us and expressed her hopes of finding her own happiness soon. "You too are an inspiration," she said, raising her glass in a toast. "To love and new beginnings." "To love and new beginnings," Emily and I echoed, clinking our glasses together. As the party wound down, Emily and I took a walk along the deck, the cool ocean breeze brushing against our faces. We found a quiet spot and stood there, looking out at the vast expanse of water. "Emily, there's something I want to ask you," I said, taking her hands in mine. She looked at me, her eyes filled with curiosity and warmth. "What is it, John?" I took a deep breath, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. "Will you marry me?" Again, but this time, in front of all our family and friends? Emily's eyes welled up with tears, and she nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, John, I would love that." We hugged tightly, overwhelmed with joy and love. This was a new beginning, a chance to celebrate our love with those who mattered most to us. Back home, we began planning our wedding. It was a small, intimate affair, held at a beautiful vineyard in Napa Valley. The setting was perfect, surrounded by rows of grapevines and the scent of blooming flowers. Our closest family and friends gathered to witness our vows, and Lori was there too, smiling and cheering us on. As Emily and I exchanged rings, I looked into her eyes and knew that we had both found our forever. The journey had been long and filled with challenges, but it had led us to this moment of pure happiness. After the ceremony, we celebrated with a reception filled with laughter, dancing, and heartfelt speeches. My sons, who had been my best men, gave a touching toast. "Dad, we're so happy to see you this way," one of them said. "Emily, welcome to the family. You both deserve all the happiness in the world." Emily's daughter, who was her maid of honor, also gave a heartfelt speech. "Mom, seeing you smile like this means everything to me. John, thank you for bringing joy back into her life." The evening was magical, and as the sun set over the vineyard, Emily and I shared our first dance as husband and wife. It was a moment of pure bliss, surrounded by the people we loved. As the night came to an end, we stood hand in hand, watching the stars twinkle above us. This was our new beginning, a fresh chapter in our lives filled with love, hope, and endless possibilities. The months following our wedding were filled with joy and excitement as Emily and I settled into our new life together. We spent our weekends exploring new hobbies, traveling to different places, and hosting gatherings with friends and family. It felt like we were truly living life to the fullest. One weekend, while enjoying a quiet evening at home, Emily brought up an idea she had been contemplating. "John, have you ever thought about starting a business together?" she asked. I looked at her, intrigued. "What kind of business?" "Well, we both love wine and traveling. What if we started a travel agency that specializes in wine tours? We could share our passion with others and help them create amazing memories like we have." The idea was brilliant, and I immediately saw the potential. "Emily, that's a fantastic idea. Let's do it." We spent the next few months planning and setting up our business. We named it Vineyard Voyages and focused on creating unique, personalized wine tour experiences in California and beyond. Our combined knowledge of the wine industry and travel made us a great team, and soon our business began to flourish. Our success allowed us to travel even more, exploring vineyards and wine regions around the world. Each trip not only enriched our knowledge but also strengthened our bond. We were partners in every sense of the word, supporting each other through the challenges and celebrating the successes. One evening, after returning from a particularly successful tour in Italy, Emily and I were sitting on our patio, enjoying a glass of wine. She looked at me with a thoughtful expression. "John, I've been thinking. What if we wrote a book about our experiences? We could share our story, our love for wine, and the journey of building this business together." I smiled at the idea. "Emily, that sounds like a wonderful project. Let's do it." We spent the next year working on our book, pouring our hearts into every page. We shared stories of our travels, the vineyards we visited, and the incredible people we met along the way. We also included personal anecdotes about our relationship, the challenges we faced, and the love that brought us together. When the book was finally published, it received an overwhelmingly positive response. Readers were inspired by our story and our passion for life and wine. Vineyard Voyages saw a surge in bookings, and our business continued to grow. As we celebrated the success of our book with a small gathering at our favorite vineyard, Lori approached us with a big smile on her face. "You two never cease to amaze me. Congratulations on the book and the business. You deserve all the happiness in the world," she said, hugging us both. "Thank you, Lori. Your support means a lot to us," Emily replied. As the evening went on, surrounded by friends and family, I realized just how far we had come. The journey had been filled with ups and downs, but every step had led us to this moment of happiness and fulfillment. Reflecting on our journey, Emily and I realized that we had learned many valuable lessons along the way. We decided to share these lessons with others, hoping to inspire and help those facing similar challenges. 1. Communication is key. Open and honest communication is the foundation of any strong relationship. Without it, misunderstandings and resentment can build up, leading to distance and conflict. 2. Embrace change. Life is full of changes, and embracing them can lead to personal growth and new opportunities. Resisting change can keep you stuck in the past, unable to move forward. 3. Prioritize your relationship. It's easy to get caught up in the daily grind and neglect your relationship. Make time for each other, prioritize your connection, and nurture your love. 4. Pursue your passions together. Sharing common interests and passions can strengthen your bond and create lasting memories. Find activities you both enjoy and pursue them together. 5. Seek help when needed. It's okay to seek help when you're facing challenges. Whether it's a therapist, a friend, or a support group, reaching out for assistance can provide new perspectives and solutions. 6. Don't be afraid to start over. Sometimes, starting over is the best decision you can make. It can be scary, but it can also lead to new beginnings and greater happiness. 7. Cherish the moments. Life is made up of moments, big and small. Cherish each one, and appreciate the journey you're on. Celebrate the successes and learn from the challenges. 8. Follow your heart. Listen to your heart and follow your passions. Whether it's in your career, your hobbies, or your relationships, staying true to yourself will lead to a fulfilling life. Years passed, and Emily and I continued to live our lives with love and adventure. Vineyard Voyages became a renowned travel agency, and our book inspired countless people to pursue their passions and strengthen their relationships. One sunny afternoon, we were sitting on our patio, looking out at the vineyard we had come to love. Emily turned to me with a smile. "John, do you ever think about what the future holds for us?" I took her hand in mine and looked into her eyes. "Emily, as long as we're together, I know our future will be bright. We've faced challenges and celebrated successes, and I have no doubt that whatever comes next, we'll face it together." She leaned in and kissed me, and I felt a deep sense of peace and happiness. Our journey was far from over, and I was excited to see where it would lead us next. As the sun set over the vineyard, casting a golden glow over the landscape, I realized that life was truly a beautiful journey. And with Emily by my side, I knew that every moment would be filled with love, joy, and endless possibilities. Thank you for listening to Storytime Audio. We hope you enjoyed The Turning Point, a journey from distance to new beginnings. This story reminds us that even in the face of adversity, there's always potential for growth and renewal. As our protagonists discovered, embracing change and following your heart can lead to unexpected and fulfilling paths. Stay tuned for more compelling stories that inspire and captivate. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more content. Until next time, keep exploring the many facets of the human experience through the power of storytelling.